What's up, everybody in social media land? It's me, Andy Schultz. It is Monday, August 22nd, 2022, and it is the day after the closing of Monstrosity. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. It's weird. It's very surreal that it's over with, because it took almost 3 years to put up. And it's weird, like, it's over with. And it's weird. So those of you who don't know the whole story, I had been wanting for years and years and years to do something with the Universal Monsters. I'm a big fan of the Universal Monsters. They're some of my favorite movies. I honestly probably one of the few people who, well, not a few people, I'm probably in the group of people who prefer the Universal Monster movies, the classic ones, more than most modern horror movies. But, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love horror in general, but there's just something special about them. And finally to get to do a project with them has been one of the best things of my entire career as a writer, director, producer, everything. But yeah, so the story is the main thing started in December of 2019. We were doing our closing night of our holiday Christmas shows, and a whole bunch of the writers and I were sitting there, we just started talking. I kind of described the project, and everybody's like, well, can I do this monster? And then I was like, can I do this one? And Heather was there too. I was like, oh, I need to do Bride of Frankenstein. I need to do Von Bushka. And Tyler's like, I want to do Frankenstein. And it just started falling in place. Anne was there and Dracula. And I'm a big fan of the Wolfman. So I'm like, okay, I really want to do the Wolfman. And it was just something so cool about it. And to finally get to have it created was so neat. But we started working on it. And it's like, okay, this whole show's coming together. We're going to do it. And then 2020 gets here. And the world shuts down. And it's like, oh, well, the theater, we'll still do it at the same theater. But that theater shuts down. So, like, okay, let's take some time. Let's start working on the scripts again. And let's become better. Let's have table reads. And let's keep refining the scripts. So we kept doing that. And we refined the scripts and they became even better. And we're like, okay, we're going to find a place. We found a theater. Okay, now it's 2021. We found a theater. And that theater, we booked the theater. Like, literally, I booked the theater. And I was about to pay them. And then the next day, I get a phone call. The theater's shutting down. And it's like, okay, well, now we got to find another space. And I had told Heather Lehigh, who's our co-producer of the show, who I'm going to talk about quite a bit in a few months, because without her, none of this is possible, was that if we didn't get the show up in 2022, I was going to shelve it. And I didn't tell anybody else that. Heather's the only one who knew that if I didn't find a spot for it in 2022, I was going to just shelve it. And we weren't going to do it. And finally, we found a spot at Two Roads Theater, and slowly between January and March, it started becoming real. And by April and May, it's like, oh, we have a place. And they're not closing down. And we can go ahead and we can do our show. Okay. And then we started, like, designing the set pieces. And Kate Grieco came involved, and she helped design set pieces with Heather. Like the idea. And then Heather and her dad started building the set pieces. And we started having auditions. And we started casting people. And we got directors. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. We're having a show. And then I got to go to rehearsals, and I got to see them. And I directed one of the pieces. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really coming to life. And it did. And I'm like, I can't believe it. And finally, it's like 2 weeks beforehand, we went to Midsummer Scream, which was so good to go to. And that's a whole other thing I want to talk about later on. But getting to go to, but it's like, now it's like a week and a half, it's a week of tech, and I get COVID again. And I had the wind completely knocked out of me, because I'm like, I'm almost there to the finish line. We are literally this close to the finish line, and I get COVID. But it was okay, because I have one of the most amazing teams headed up by one of the most amazing co-producers in the world, Heather Lehigh, who literally, when I dropped the ball, she took the ball and she ran with it. And she didn't just ran with it, she scored the biggest touchdown in history. Because in all honesty, and I'm saying this is the truth, without her, Monstrosity is not even possible. And I do mean that. Because she ran all the tech and dress Vince was up there doing his tech stuff, Kara backstage stage managing, but Heather guided and led everything. And I came to our opening night, and I was actually very relaxed for it, nervous because like, okay, this is actually happening. It's gonna be our opening night, and audience is finally getting to see Monstrosity, and it went up, and I got to go in the theater, and I got to watch my piece that I directed and wrote, and one of the pieces I wrote, and I'm like, I get to watch it. So I watched a couple of pieces, and I was going to be in tears. I was so proud, and I can't believe we're actually seeing, there's an audience with me, we're watching Monstrosity, and it was one of the best feelings, and I know people looked at me like I didn't look as excited as I could be. I was just coming off of, it was my first day back out in the world. I was still getting over COVID. I was completely fine to be out there. So it wasn't like I wasn't contagious or anything. It wasn't like dying. It was just like, I'm getting off of being sick, and I'm tired, I have no energy, but I'm so excited to be there. But to get to finally see it, it was just so cool. And it was probably one of the best moments ever, is getting to see the show that I've been dreaming of, because this has been a passion project. This has been a dream to finally get to do this kind of project I've been wanting to do for so long. And there's just no way to describe it. And to have it run for 2 weeks, and just the audiences and the love we got from it, people loved it. And just the fact that it was one of those shows where people came out saying that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And I would love to be able to take all the credit for it. I would, but I can't. I got to work with some of the most amazing artists on earth. We had some of the best actors, directors, and writers. I mean, there's no way I can thank them enough. We had The Invisible Man, written by Mike Nolan, directed by Kate Grieco. I wrote Where the Wolf Blooms, was directed by Kate Triplett. Heather wrote Bambushka, The Scars, and Fairy Tales, which is based off the Bride of Frankenstein. She wrote and directed it, along with Catherine Campbell as her assistant director. I got to direct Anne Aragine's Dracula piece. And then Jenny Chun directed Mia Gear's Mummy piece. And then Jeremy Barbie directed Tyler Bianchi's piece based off of Frankenstein. And they all came together, and they worked so incredibly hard. And I'm so thankful for the group of writers and directors we get to work with to bring the show to life. And our amazing tech crew, Jonathan Agursio doing makeup and stuff, and costuming. Heather, stuff. I want to talk about Heather and her dad. Her dad did some cool stuff, but so did Heather, and I will post pictures about some of the stuff that they did later. But Cara Valencia is our stage manager, Kyle Shriver, and Vincent Tech. I can't think of enough. But the person I do gotta thank the most is Heather. And I know you keep saying it, is because every time I had doubts, or I had fears about whatnot, she was there to support me and be like, no, we're gonna do this, we're gonna get this up, and things like that. I mean, when we went to Midsummer Scream for a whole day, and it was, and for those of you who have not been to Midsummer Scream, it's a Halloween convention in Long Beach and whatnot. And she spent the whole day one day in this hot convention center, and it was hot. I mean, there was no way you weren't sweating in this place. And she was there, dressed up as the Bride of Frankenstein, the nurse version, just like I have her play, all day long, trying to support the show and promote it, and she did. But her and her dad spent the entire summer, and I'm not even joking, building our set pieces. We have these two walls in the show. One is a house, and one is this rock wall. And they spent the whole summer building the frames for them, covering them, painting them, carving out the stones for it, and making it a way so it's a breakaway wall. So it looks like the walls collapse and falling. And then she carved out these styrofoam rocks, and sewed them together and stuff like that, so that way it looked like the rocks fell onto the actors when they died. And just to deal with that, but just to also keep the show going when I couldn't, she was there to run it. And I had no doubt that the show was going to be great, because it was her who was running it. So there is no one I can thank more, honestly, for helping bring my dream to life than Heather. So thank you, Heather Lehigh, very much. Greatly appreciate it. There's no other words I could describe and say thank you. And our amazing cast. And I also really want to thank you guys, the audiences, who came out and supported us. We had such love. Just to hear the reaction every time a piece would end, it was just, the applause, and then the people looking for the Easter eggs in the shows, because each piece had like their own little, little bit of Easter eggs. And then just that, and then just the, we got such great reviews, and then just people came out and they had such fun, and that's what it was. I mean, and I think that's always what I love about monster movies, is that they're fun, and this one was just fun, and that was what was so cool. And there's no other way. And now it's Monday, and I don't have rehearsal for Monstrosity. I have a rehearsal for another Halloween show, but the Monstrosity is now done. It's in the vault, or as I like to say, Heather's garage, because that's where everything is being stored right now for Monstrosity. The walls, the bench, the airplane. Literally, there's an airplane thing that Heather had made through one of the actor's friends. It's the tail end of a Russian plane, and that's all in her garage. So the Worst Art Productions vault is in San Dimas in Heather's garage. And thank you for that. And a big thank you to her dad, who spent his summer driving from Lake Elsinore up to San Dimas to help start building stuff and carving stuff. He was there, in the heat doing stuff. And it's, like I said, it's just one of those things. And I thank everybody. I'm very blessed to have gone to work on the show with such an amazing group of people. And then, this cast I got to direct, Gabby, Brett, Rayanne, and big thank you to Rayanne, who also helped when I was sick, taking over, helping to direct part of the show. And teching it for me and all that stuff. And she would FaceTime. It was funny. They would FaceTime me when they wanted me to watch something. So I'd be sitting there on the couch and then but they'd be like, "Oh, you ready to watch it? Okay, good." So I would sit there and watch it. But yeah, I mean, and that's what it was. It's just such a wonderful thing, and it's weird that it's now the day after and it's all done. It's bittersweet. Part of me is like, "Oh, it's over," but part of me is like, I'm glad it's over, because I'm glad we did it. It's finally done. And, it's going to come back. Not today, not tomorrow, but in a few years, we're going to bring Monstrosity back. And, but it's just really special. And so I thank you all for it. I'm going to try to get caught up on some things that I've been wanting to talk about with the public, but, we are back, and, got some fun stuff coming up. Talk about Midsummer Scream, how much fun we had there, our upcoming Halloween stuff, and things. So thank you guys. The dust is settled, the lights are off, the monsters are locked in their tomb, and we're ready for the next project. So thank you and good night.